Hello, welcome back to our maintenance garage. Behind me is a brand new dump trailer I just bought. Well, not brand new, but it's used. It's newer. And today I'm going to be putting some sides on it, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. All right, some of you may or may not have seen the video of me driving out to Pennsylvania to go pick this trailer up. This is a 7x16 Bwise dump trailer. This is a 14K GVW. It's got barn doors in the back. They lock into place. It's got ramps. It's got came with a tarp. It's got dual action pistons. This guy came with a lock on it. Apparently you're supposed to lock that down when you're loading equipment. This also came with a solar charger attached to it. I think this was somebody the previous owner put on. Inside it's got the pump. It's got the controller, which actually I'm going to be doing a wireless remote here pretty soon for this, so stay tuned for that video as well. And it's also got the big, I believe it's a 10K jack. It's got the adjustable hitch there. It's pretty nice, pretty solid, and can't wait to start using it. And one more thing I got to do is I have to reconfigure this whole setup right here. The way this is all set up, I can't roll the tarp all the way in. It gets caught right here and on this as well, and it just gets too wrapped up. So when we go to do the new sides, I'll show you how I'm going to take care of this as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because later we're going to have more videos on this trailer. We're going to have a video on doing a wireless remote on this trailer, and I'm also going to show you how I do all my vinyl lettering for my advertisement. That. First thing I want to start doing is making up the siding that's going to go into these pockets right here. First off, I'm going to go over the lumber before we get into this, so you kind of have an idea of what I'm working with, and you know, maybe you want to buy the same stuff. So this is decking. I don't know if they call this a 1x6 or not. This is the stuff that I got. Actual dimensions on this is 5.5 by 1 inch, and for my application these are 16 feet long. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start measuring the sides. I'm going to go 3 high. There is going to be a little bit of spacing in between, not very much, maybe about 1/4 of an inch for each one. All right, so the bottom one's going to touch the rail, so I want 1/4 inch in between this one and the next one. So I'm going to have to add a 1/2 inch to my overall. So I'm going to have 5.5 times 3. So it's going to be 16.5 inches. You're going to add that 1/2 inch. So it's going to be 17 inches that I need to come up in height out of the top of this pocket. For each one of these stake pockets, in order to get the most I can out of these 2x4s, we're going to sink them in the stake pockets 15 inches. Okay, that's going to leave me with 17 inches on top. Now, if you take this 2x4, that's 93 inches, you divide that by 3, you'll come up with 31 inches. Now it's going to be very rough, because every time you cut, you lose a little bit of the board. So anyways, so each one of these I'm going to cut at 31 inches. It's going to, like I say, give me the 15 inside the stake pocket and the 17 above it for the sideboard. Get my 31. for the next challenge, since I perform all my own stunts, well, there's a hole that goes all the way through. So there's nothing to stop this board from going all the way down. So I got to figure out how to get this to stay in place while I screw those boards to this board. The other thing I need to do is I need to cut these down to actual 16 feet, okay? Even though they are a 16 footer, they are actually longer than 16 feet because they make it longer so you're able to make several cuts and still fall within that 16 foot range if you had to make smaller pieces. So these are 194 inches, which means it's 16 feet 2 inches. So I have to cut 2 inches off that. But I'm just going to make sure, I'm going to measure this trailer because I want to go from the front of that pocket to the back of this pocket. So we're going to take a measurement and make sure that's the actual length as well. Front of that to the rear of this, we're right at 16, right on the money. Mark this at 16. That's what I'm going to cut out right there. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to take some of these scraps here. I'm going to build it up to about the same height as this guy right here. That way, you know, I can get a nice even cut all the way through. The board's not going to be tilted. I'm not going to get an angled. Not that it really matters. I mean, this is a dump trailer. This isn't finished carpentry. I'm already running into the first problem here. I have to move all these boards out of the way. All right, let's see if we can't get this lined up. Well, I got 3 legs on. Hopefully that's good enough. Don't try this at home. And if my calculations are correct, I should have cut this wrong. No, seriously, that's how it works for me. All right, 16 feet, right on the money. All right, and I think I got an idea how I'm going to do this all by myself. All right, so I've come to the conclusion that I have to stick something up in that stake pocket, at least for the first 2x4. The first one is just going to be able so I can get the 16-foot plank attached to it, and then we will go from there. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this one down in there through the top. That should allow me to drop this board down and in there. Kind of stay there for now, okay? All right, now that I got that middle one in just temporarily just to hold that board in place, now I'm going to start putting in the other 3. I'm going to measure them to 17 inches, make a line. I'm going to put the X down here. The X is going to go into the stake pocket. This line right here should be flush with the top of the stake pocket. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple screws in here, so when I get that board in the right spot, I can just screw them right in. I don't have to sit here with the other hand trying to hold everything together at the same time. All right, that one's right where I need to be. I'm going to repeat the process. So now I can come in, I can take this out. I can take the temporary board that we put down inside that stake pocket. I have to push it up. I could not push it up through the bottom. That's why we went down through the top. Get my screws ready again. I'm going to put in one more down there. One board in place. I'm going to line up the same edges, make sure they're all nice and lined up. So I want to space these. This is now lined up with this back one. I want to space it about the width of this square. So I'm going to lift up on this. I'm going to put the square and I'm going to set it down. This one should be temporary. I'm going to put in 1 screw only. I'm going to go to the far end, do the same thing. take a square again, put it in right next to the 2x4. I'm going to pull down on it just a little bit, and I'm going to put in 2 screws. Repeat the process down here. Now it's important to pull down on it because these boards can have some bows in them, and you want to make sure it's pulled tight so you get that same spacing evenly all the way across. Alright, that's enough to hold that for now. I'm going to go ahead and put the next one on, repeat the same process, and then we'll make sure we put more screws in to hold everything in place. Guys, I'm just going to repeat that whole process on the other side. The next thing I got to do is I got to go measure the front and cut those boards to length. 85, right on the money. First thing I want to do, square up my ends. Next step, pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to come right up to the end here, and I'm going to put a screw through this into this 2x4. I'm going to do the same thing I did on my other boards. I'm going to take this square, just going to put it right there on the end. Put one board, I think, on the outside of this one to hold all these together. So if I ever have to take this apart, I can unscrew these, but I can keep all these boards in the same spot. Next order of business, I got to get this tarp system hooked back up. Remember, like last time, it was bolted down here, leaving not enough room to roll the whole tarp up. So what I want to do is I want to come up to probably about there and drill some holes. So I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to get it roughly in the center. Now this top hole, I do want to leave enough room so there's still a little bit of meat at the top. So I'm going to come down just a little bit. I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna make a hole there. Now I may have to go in with longer bolts. These are the ones that came with the trailer. I don't think these are gonna fit all the way across. Yeah, we're gonna need to get slightly longer bolts, yes. And just like that, I'm back from the store with the correct hardware. This is 3.5 inches long to go through the 1.5 wide 2x4 and the 1-inch siding. A little more than I needed, but I'd rather have a little bit more than not have enough. So just gonna tap this guy on in. And the way this is looking right now, I may actually have to add a little bit of padding to this. This tarp system seems to be a little bit wider than what I have going on here. So let me take a look at that real quick. All right, so a problem I'm having right now is that this 2x4 to the other side of the 2x4 is 85 inches. And from the inside of this to the other side of this tarp system on the inside of this is 86 inches. So I got to gain 1 inch. So what I think I'm going to do is I got some leftover plywood. It's 1/2 inch. I'm going to cut it out to the size of the 2x4. I'm going to screw it up onto this guy right here, and then we'll drill through that. And then, am I going to be too long or not? All right, let's see. If I gain 1/2 inch on each side, well, nothing. All right, let's push this all the way through. All right, with that flat, I've got like a couple threads to suck that thing in. That's about it. Probably would have been better off with a 4-inch, but I didn't know that at the time. All right, there's my 2 pieces of padding. You're always gonna run into something on a project. You just have to learn to go with it. I'm going to come to the back side here. This is not going to be fun. Therefore, because I'm right up against the thing. Oh man, this project's going south real quick, I'm going to tell you. All right, I got it. It's a little ugly, but I got a lot of this plate to cover it up, so I'm not too worried. Remember, it's a dump trailer. It's not finished carpentry. All right, now I'm going to go over. I'm going to go pad out the other side real quick. So I'm gonna have to tilt this down in order to get all the way through. Nice. About there's where I'm gonna put my first one. Put this bolt in. Let's see if I can get this whole thing to tarp up. There we go. I got the whole tarp up there. The last thing I want to do is put signs on this trailer. These came off my older trailer. I had to cut them down to make them fit. But these are going on next. Alright guys, well that's the end of the video. Let me know, did you like the design or would you have done something different? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Alright guys, well that's it. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. And if you like this video, check out these videos. That one's kind of cool. I like that one. That one's cool too. That one's my favorite.